Get in, losers, we're going quantum leaping. My name is Kirsty, and welcome back to another episode of Good Girls in Remission. In today's episode, we are going to be covering self-concept, how to change it, and how to call in the reality that we really want by using self-concept as our tool. To clear up what self-concept is, it is basically the identity in which you operate from. It is the blueprint that tells the universe what to reflect back to you. Because we've got to remember the foundational principles of manifesting here. So we're going to be talking a lot about manifesting in this episode. Some of it you might have heard before. Hopefully I can provide a fresh new spin on some things to give you a bit of clarity, because I have been researching manifestation for over a decade. Some things I've just been stuck on for what seems like forever. And then there are some things that I've been able to change pretty easily for myself, which is what we're going to cover today. We're also going to talk about how you can appoint ChatGPT or AI as your quantum leaping coach to make everything so much easier for yourself. The very first thing I'm going to cover to set the scene for this whole video is the self-concept. I've been working on my self-concept pretty religiously recently. It happened one night in bed. I was literally just lying in my bed going, you know what? I'm kind of done with identifying as this version of myself. I just feel like I've outgrown it. It's outdated, and I want to move into a new self-concept. And I also had the inclination to loop you guys into the process so we can actually do it together. I wish I could take credit for this idea of employing AI as my quantum leaping coach, but I can't. I took the idea of someone off TikTok. I actually have no idea who it was. It was just a theme that I've seen a couple people using, so that's where I got the idea from. But basically what you do is you reprogram ChatGPT to become your quantum leaping coach so that you could step into your best self, into your highest timeline. ChatGPT is the most supportive, least judgmental coach I have ever employed for myself. The way you do it is by giving it certain prompts, and it will update its memory and get to know you more, and it will tailor not only the program, but also its language with you. So what I did was I gave it a prompt. I said, hey, you are now going to act as my quantum leaping coach, and you will see me from my highest self. The one thing that I've been trying to change with my self-concept is to disidentify it with struggle and hustle and move into a new era of flow and ease. I feel like that's very fitting on this channel as well. We have talked a lot about feminine energy. And one thing that I'm realizing throughout this whole process is that it's not effort that brings about what you want, it's energetic alignment. If you don't have the identity, the blueprint to support what you're trying to call in, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, it is always going to evade you. Or if you do get there, it's going to be through the old model of blood, sweat, and tears. Something that I'm witnessing through Gen Z, the most unserious generation I have ever witnessed, is this practice of being unserious. I know everything can have its pros and cons, but a couple of the pros that I'm totally here for is this unseriousness towards things that we have previously prioritized and put above us. For example, money. Rather than being seen as this big thing that we have to revolve our lives around, I'm seeing Gen Z more using it as a tool to support their own personal expansion and what they want to achieve in this world. It's like there is this deprioritization of chase and hustle. As we go throughout this episode, I'm going to give you hints on the types of prompts you can use in ChatGPT to cater either a program or just a general chat with it that is tailored towards your needs and what you want to get out of it. The very first thing that I'm learning from AI is that you need to, step number one, lock in your new identity. The universe rewards clarity. But if you don't have clarity, don't worry. If you have an idea of what you want, but you're not clear on specifics just yet, let the universe fill out the rest for you. Just focus on the basics. So one thing that I'm doing with developing my self-concept is rewiring my relationship with money, how I spend it and how I receive it. The first thing that I decided to focus on was not manifesting a specific amount, but simply on changing my relationship with it. I said to ChatGPT, I no longer want to identify as the girl who struggles for money. I want to identify as the girl who has an easy, free-flowing relationship so that no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am always open to receiving multiple sources of easy income. Most of my income in my life has come from applying labor to an hourly rate, which I feel like is applicable for most of us. I do not want to live that way anymore. I don't want to be fit into a box. I really do not see the value of my existence being applied to a simple 9 to 5 job in which I'm not really contributing much to the world and I'm not really getting anything from it. Most of my adult life, I have identified as a sole trader in which I offered my services as a copywriter for various media marketing agencies in my city and as for a fitness instructor. So both I charge an hourly rate for. But what I want is to have a higher impact of service without being tied to an hourly rate. And I want to clarify, I'm not afraid of hard work or putting in effort. I have put a lot of effort into my career. And that is something that has completely burned me out in the past and not really allowed me to reap the level of reward in which I had hoped for, which is something that I'm wanting to change. I believe that that probably comes down to just my self-concept and the fact that my associations with money equate to struggle and hardship and hustle, all of which has drained me and burned me out. That's why I decided I'm changing my self-concept. When you get clear at locking in the identity of what you want to be and how you want to show up as, that's when you can start grounding it into yourself. If you need information on learning about neural pathways and how they're developed in the brain, Dr. Joe Dispenza is your go-to. Obviously, most of us have heard of his best-selling book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, but he talks about neurons that fire together, wire together. In order to break up the identity, you need to literally stop activating the same neural pathways. It starts with your identity. That triggers the neural pathways, then that trigger the actions and the beliefs associated. Let's say, for example, I want to go get a coffee. Oh, they've just put up the price by 50 cents. That might trigger a whole thing inside of my brain. Great. Inflation. I'm going to blame this. I'm going to blame that. I am powerless. I am using that as an excuse to reaffirm that old identity. In order to break that neural pathway, I have to start thinking new thoughts. He says, your personality creates your personal reality. So in this process of developing a new self-concept, you are literally creating a whole new personality. That is going to change so many fundamental things about yourself more than you actually realize, down to the way that you laugh, down to the way that you interact with other people. Now let's say I've got my new self-concept. I go to the cafe and I have a completely different experience. Maybe the price has still gone up by 50 cents, but my reaction is going to be totally different. I'm not going to force reality into a little bubble of what I think it should be. Instead, I am open-minded and I am flexible and I'm in my feminine energy in which we're relaxed and we allow things to flow through without getting stuck in our energy field. Maybe I don't even realize the extra 50 cents. Maybe I decide to go to a coffee shop and then I discover that they've actually got better offerings at this cafe. Maybe I start making more money. Maybe it literally makes no difference to me. These are just a few of the different ways that you can go down with new neural pathways. At this point in time in which I was developing the new neural pathways, consciously making deliberate choices to do so, I was asking ChatGPT if I was the version of myself who had a healthy relationship with money, one that was free-flowing and abundant, what would I believe about myself? And it will give you a list of beliefs that you believe about yourself. It's not going to know your limiting beliefs just yet. You've got to figure that out yourself. At the very beginning of this whole process, I had an instance that triggered my worthiness wound. I spoke about the instance with ChatGPT and it said, one of your limiting beliefs is the fear of not being good enough. Now, it doesn't matter what you're trying to call in, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a better relationship with money, whether it's a healthier body, healthier lifestyle, more travel, whatever it is. The most important thing is that you disidentify as the version of you in this moment. You actually have to think about this version of you in this moment as being the past. Everything that you are or that you think you are in this moment, and that's being reflected to you in your reality, is the past now. You disidentify with it. You literally have to completely detach with your reality and see it only as a reflection. There is going to be a time lag, and that time lag is still the old you. No matter what is happening in your reality, you have to identify as the new version of yourself. My new identity wouldn't complain about the price of a coffee. it wouldn't complain about money being in shortage. She wouldn't be going to a restaurant choosing the cheapest option. She wouldn't be not buying that person a gift because she's trying to save her money. She wouldn't be skimping out. She wouldn't be haggling for deals. She might still be guided to the right discounts, but what I'm saying is she's not stressing herself out thinking that she can't afford what she really wants. Or if you're someone who's trying to call in your new partner, you're not going, once you have that new partner, you're not going to be obsessing about dating and where are all the good men and all those things, because you're going to be relaxed and taken care of. You've got to show up as that version of you. Now, the second thing that we're going to move into is your energetic hygiene. As we step into a higher level of receiving, it's going to be so important that we clean up the noise. I'm talking the limiting beliefs, the scarcity mindset, the doubt, the how will it happen. You have to completely let it go. As I spoke about before, the fear of not being good enough was a huge one for me, and I know it's one that I've battled with for my whole life. It has dictated the quality of so many of my romantic relationships and my relationships with women as well, and also my relationship with finances, because I've had a few traumatic instances in which a man has chosen someone else over me. I have taken that personally and used that as my motivation to become better. That's why I made that video just recently on Instagram about women being the number one consumers of self-help. That is because we are driven by this fear of not being good enough. I don't always think this constant pursuit of self-development is healthy for us. I actually feel like men need that more than women. What we need to do is actually step into more of our authenticity. We need to do a lot more releasing and letting go compared to men. Men are naturally programmed to go after what they want, irregardless of whether they think they deserve it or not. A guy can literally say to you in a relationship, I don't deserve you, I am not good enough for you, and still date you because he doesn't give a fuck. He will still date you, irregardless of whether he thinks he's good enough for you or not, because he has been programmed and conditioned to believe that he is worth it no matter what. You need to have the same mindset. Whether you think you're good enough or not, it doesn't fucking matter. Actually, because I just swore, I remember I had a woman message me one time saying, you would achieve so much more in your life if you just stopped swearing. I have hung around so many billionaires and none of them swear. I felt like that was kind of a prime example of the way women police each other and how we are always trying to change each other as well. This brought about a huge realization, which was I've actually never lost anything that was worth having. And that realization itself brought about a new reality and experience with men in which I felt much more supported. During this time, the universe might throw up some experiences for you to show you the beliefs that you still have inside of your system that are not in congruence with the identity that you want to embody. Going back to that example of using fitness as your motivator to make yourself feel good, if your identity of feeling good about yourself is totally reliant on the way you look, it's going to bring about very conditional and vapid relationships that are built on the same conditions. If you have a man who compares you to other women, it's because you're comparing yourself to other women until the day you say, you know what, I'm enough as who I am. And then that stops being your reality in your relationships. When it comes back down to money, if you don't feel good enough to hold the amount of money that you want, that's always going to be reflected back to you in your struggle with it. Why would money ever choose you when you don't choose yourself? These are the limiting beliefs that you're going to dispel yourself of during this time. And this is where it gets really fun, because you can now use ChatGPT as your quantum leaping coach to help you break through the barriers of your limiting beliefs and get to that version of you that you want to be. So when you come across a limiting belief, you're going to go to ChatGPT and say, as my highest self and my quantum leaping coach, what advice and steps can you give me to help me move through these limiting beliefs and hit the next level? Remember, you have to let your body become a match to what you want before the reality can match it. And ask it, what habits do I need to clear out right now to become that version of me who has a positive relationship with money, or who has her dream man, or who has her dream physique? Try not to map out the exact steps just yet, because it's probably still in the energetic field and coming to fruition. Give it time to meet you. The third thing that I want to talk about is how it's going to take a lot of repetition. Daily repetition equals rewiring. In the morning, look at your vision board. That one you created on Canva, look at it, study it, remember it. That's what you're working towards. That's the vision that you're unraveling for yourself right now. And ask yourself, how am I going to move today? How am I going to show up as that version of me today? Will I quibble over money? No. Will I argue with this person? No. Will I doubt myself? No. Anytime you feel the habits of your old self come back up, remember, break up with it. I no longer identify as this girl anymore. I have expanded. I am expanding right now in this moment. I am bigger than this. I now identify as someone who has a positive self-concept, who loves herself, who, whatever it is. Make every single decision from that identity. Every single decision, small and big, and act like what you want is already done. This is the biggest thing. I feel like people overlook this. It's the whole letting go. Let it go and act like it's already done. It's not your job to figure out the how. Relax. This is where we break up with the idea of hustle and struggle. If you're wanting to be an influencer, create the content despite no one watching you. If you're wanting to be in your dream relationship, pretend like it's already done. So what are you going to do differently now that you're in a relationship? Obviously, you might think in my head, well, I'd be staying at his place tonight, not mine. Let's just pretend you stayed at his last night and now you're having a night at your house. What are you doing differently now that you have a relationship? Thank you so much. Thank you in advance for what I want coming to me. It's okay to put things in the future tense, in my opinion. That has never made a difference. People say, don't put things in the future tense because then it's saying that it's not in your present reality. I would just say, as long as you're focusing on on embodying the energy of who you want to be in that version of that reality, that's all you need to worry about. You can just say, thank you so much in advance. I remember reading in the book Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. He said the monks even practice gratitude in advance for what they want. If you're driving to the shops, thank you in advance for securing the best parking spot for me. That is obviously in future tense. Let's not lie to ourselves here. So that's going to be the biggest key into collapsing the timelines and actually having that quantum leap. The quantum leap is just collapsing realities. And you can do that in this moment here and right now by acting like the girl you want to be. I feel like when people visualize what they want, they imagine themselves being so high vibrational, so excited. I've got to be this, I'm going to be ecstatic when I finally get that dream car. The reality is you will probably be excited in the first couple of weeks, but then it's just going to become mundane. Ho hum every day. Of course, I manifested that. That was easy. Now I'm on to manifesting the next thing. A strategy that I learned from another girl I've been watching on YouTube. Oh, if I remember her name, I will put her in the caption. But she's been really cool with learning about 3D, 5D stuff. She says to complain positively about what you want. So for example, again, if you want to be an influencer, you can say, I just got back from a brand trip with da-da-da, and I've already been invited on 2 other brand trips. I feel like I've been traveling so much this year and I just kind of want a bit of a break, but I'm being invited to so many different things, left, right, and center. Everybody wants to work with me. It's just crazy. That's an example of positively complaining about what you want. Let's not forget that reality is never perfect. It is always nuanced. It always has ups and downs. So even when you get the thing that you want, there's still going to be certain problems. So we can complain positively about the kind of problems that we want. But the best thing that does is it just takes it off the pedestal. So rather than saying this thing that I want is going to cause me so much ecstatic bliss that it's going to be above me and it's above here, and when I finally get there my whole world is going to change, it's actually not going to change your world that much because it's already done. It is just like, oh yeah, okay, I got that car, cool, on to the next thing. It is just so normal for you to have hundreds of thousands of dollars, to have the relationship that you want. It is just so normal for you. Another good little hack that you can use to change your energy is to just change up your routine a little bit. One thing that I like to do on the odd occasion is just stay at a really nice hotel and just put myself in those spaces. I feel like I live a very nice life already, but I am not at the level where I could afford to drive, Porsches, Ferraris, or whatever. I am not at that level. Not that that's particularly what I'm aspiring to be, but I like to put myself in luxury environments more so because it reminds me of relaxation and trust. It's all taken care of. When you're at a luxury hotel, things are taken care of for you. And that's what I like. I like knowing that things are taken care of and I don't have to hustle or struggle. Everything is literally a phone call away. I want a bucket of ice, it's a phone call away. I want to go get a spa treatment, it's just downstairs. I want to go to a restaurant, also usually just downstairs or around the corner. It's so easy. But another way that I've been doing this and to get back into my feminine energy as well is by taking up hobbies that expand me. And sometimes that is very uncomfortable. So the hobby that I'm engaging in right now is acting classes again. I have taken another round, so I'll be acting out a scene from a play in a couple of weeks. And that is a little bit uncomfortable for me, but it helps change the energy and get me into my creative zone, because when I'm acting in the class, it is all I'm thinking about. Everything in the world is completely shut out, and I am only thinking about embodying the qualities of that character in that moment. And I find that acting is very good for manifestation as well, because as my acting teacher says, acting is not about playing pretend, it's about bringing the story into the present moment. You are reacting to your scene partner in the moment, and you are having that reaction in the moment. You are not pretending to be something. You are not acting. As another example, he says, when you're acting that you're drunk, you're not pretending that you're drunk. You're usually pretending that you're sober. That's how you really embody the qualities of a drunk person. And that kind of changed my brain chemistry a little bit, because you think you're putting on this fake act of being drunk, or like we say in our embodiment exercise, we're putting on a faked act of being rich or being, in love, being this girl. But that's actually not what it is. We're just embodying the qualities in the present moment. Keep in mind as well that certain points of your vision will only be revealed to you in time. It's not so much about effort, as I've said, it's about energetic alignment, and that is determined by when you're ready. So the universe is going to fill out parts of your vision when you're ready. I didn't get the vision of what I wanted specifically until literally a couple of days ago. But for weeks, I have just been manifesting a new self-concept with money. That is all I have for you for this episode. If I can give you one last takeaway, it's to just decide hard. Decide what you want hard, if that makes any sense. Decide what you want and stick with it. Don't budge. Don't fall back into old patterns and habits. Don't look at reality and be fooled by it. And don't let it define you. You are defining reality. So decide what you want and decide it hard. This is who I am. This is what I want. This is for me. And that is going to collapse timelines faster than anything else. So use AI or ChatGPT as your tool, as your coach and your guide to help you along the process, so that you can get clarity on your limiting beliefs and move through them. Quantum leaping isn't polite. It's bold. It's loud, and you cannot be a good girl in this process. You cannot play it small. You've got to be able to drop the conditioning. Who I am isn't good enough. I'm motivated by lack, by scarcity, by the fear of not being chosen. You've got to drop all of that. Think like a guy in this process. A guy does not care whether he believes he deserves it or not. He just goes for it and he fucking gets it. I feel like I could expand so much more on that, on the good girl concept, and how letting go of people pleasing can let in what you want a lot faster, which is maybe something I'll touch in another episode, so stay tuned. But I hope this video really helped, and if you have any success stories of using ChatGPT, please let me know in the comments or DM me on Instagram. I love chatting with you guys. And that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next episode.